All right, welcome everybody to the second pilot episode of the Triangle Tennis Podcast, hosted by Matt and Zack.
The second episode?
This is the second episode. You may have gotten, some of you got an exclusive preview of the first one where Zack's audio was just really, really sharp. It's just something.
This is the first for public consumption.
This is the first for public consumption. Some folks are asking us to release the first episode. We'll see. But getting back to the topic at hand, yes, this is our second episode. What we're trying to do here is talk about all things Triangle Tennis Podcast. We do have a little bit of a Durham bias because that's where most of us play, but we're going to be talking about Raleigh, Cary, all the areas in there. And we've got a special guest with us today. And so, Zack, do you want to introduce our guest host and add anything else to what we're trying to do here at the podcast?
Yeah, I think that the recording of the first episode of this, the first episode, not the first episode, is sort of like a Shoeless Joe Jackson signature. It's going to be worth lots and lots of money and entertain, so keep an eye out if you see one. But today, we're joined by a fella that needs no introduction. If you're passively familiar with the Triangle tennis scene, he's a captain, he's a friend, he's famously a 5-0 in warm-ups, and many people are calling him the mayor of East End, Mr. Michael Young. Michael, thank you for being our first guest, and welcome to the pod.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's funny, actually, someone actually called me that like a week ago in a text message after getting added to that East End group. It was like, are you the mayor of East End? Apropos of nothing. And so I do feel that way sometimes. It's nice. Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. This is a great experience.
He's also, you forgot another title for him, one of the best court reporters in the Triangle area. That's another.
Oh, I heard a rumor about that, man. I heard that Michael was considered for a nomination for a Nobel Peace Prize for his intrepid reporting. Michael, can you tell us anything about that?
I was definitely, as far as I know, my name was put in to be nominated. I think that as far as distinctions go, there is no distinction between being nominated and someone nominating me, maybe. I think that that's a distinction that doesn't need to be sussed out at all.
Yeah.
As far as anyone else is concerned, I was nominated.
Yeah.
There we go.
For a Nobel Peace Prize.
Well, listen, everybody. This week on the Triangle Tennis Pod, we've got a fantastic show for you. We're going to get a little loose. We're going to get a little wacky. We're going to name names and play some games. All right, Michael. Anything that you want to tell the people before we get started?
Yeah, so I was in the middle of having a really good conversation with Matt about the diadem balls that I'm looking at in my personal like selfie vision on this podcasting app. And then Matt was like, let's record this. So I want to get right back to that right now.
Yep.
We have the diadem balls here, and it's excellent. But I was telling a story about my boss who was like, saw all these balls on the Zoom chat and was like, how many do you go through a week? So I want to pose that question to you guys. How many cans of balls do you go through a week playing tennis, just pick up? I'm just curious.
I think probably 3 cans a week.
I was 3, or when I was playing regularly, it was 3 to 4.
Yeah, that's what I said. 3 to 5.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a purist. I really do not like to play with a set of balls more than once. And that's great. That's great for Petunia the Bulldog. Yeah. I know it drives up the cost of playing tennis, but something about a fresh can, it makes the day a little bit better.
I would never consider playing a match without a fresh can. That just wouldn't be right.
Do you guys know anyone who will do the old can thing? I do know one person. I can name names right now.
I don't know.
I'm happy to get it going right now.
Name a name. Let's do it.
Cut it later.
Josh Lundberg, the guy
Lundberg
loves playing with old balls. First time I played with him, he's like, I got these pens. They're about 2 weeks old. Do you want to play with them? And I was like,
when you say 2 weeks old, does that mean that it wasn't the second use? It maybe wasn't the third use. It might have been the 4th use.
No, I mean these didn't even have cans. It was just like pulled right out of the bag.
Wow.
Which like I've got these, and I was like, I can open a can. Man, let's live the good life.
Yeah.
You know. But my boss today was like, how many do you go through a week? And I said 3. 3 is about right for me. And she was like, wait, 3 a week? And I was like, yeah. She's like, the question she asked was, do you use all 3? Or do you just use one at a time? And I was like, I don't even know what to say to that. Like, this is what non-tennis people think.
Yeah.
Like, you just pull one ball out and then just use that until it's done, and then use the next one.
That was her
How
thought
much
process?
would that change a match? How much would that change a match? If you, it's a best of 3 set match, you get 1 ball per set.
Wow.
That would be a completely different rhythm. That would be a different sport.
Yeah.
I think the rule is now you have to pull up to the service line with 2. So I think you need at least 2.
Oh, I didn't know
know.
that was a rule.
That's in the USDA rulebook? You have.
I don't know if it is, but I remember I was in a county.
Was that a decree of the mayor?
I was
East
in
End?
no, I was
too?
no, I was in county tournament in high school, and I was playing mixed doubles my senior year, and my partner Anna, she rolled up with just 1 ball and served and faulted and was like, "Can I have another ball?" And the other team was like, "We're taking this point."
Oh my God, they hooked you. That's an all-time
Yeah,
hook. There's
yeah.
no way that's a rule.
Yeah,
Right?
I mean, I think you have to go up with 2. I think that's the rule, but I've just never seen it before, and I was just like, okay, whatever.
To take the point was a bit much. That's
Wow.
over the top.
I'm hoping that one of our listeners will do the research on this and report back and write in, because I think you got hooked, and that's a great high school hook, county tournament hook.
Yeah, I agree with that. But like, I think it is in the rules. This is, I guess, the worst flex of all time. But I'm very studied in the friend at court for each year. I read it pretty meticulously, I guess. So I'm pretty studied on the rules, and I think that is a rule. You have to bring 2 to the line.
Okay.
You know.
What's your degree of confidence in that rule?
I'm definitely in. I feel pretty confident that's a rule for sure. Like, do you?
Would you bet a case of diadems on it? A case of diadem balls.
As cheap as they are, I mean, you might as well.
Do the plug, Matt.
That's taking our 30% off.
Yeah, I think actually I don't think that I would take that bet. But
Okay.
we did get hooked on it, which is fine. I feel okay about that.
That's almost as bad as the poor Nuno Borges point from earlier this week. I don't know if anybody saw this, but the ref hooked him. It was terrible. So
I did
it was
see
really, really bad. So
Yeah.
his opponent hit it. The ball, somebody in the crowd shouts out. Borges plays the point, hits it, makes it. His opponent then misses, and then freaks out about somebody yelling out in the middle of the point. And somehow the umpire ended up giving Nuno Borges' opponent the point, which makes zero sense. That's my ATP hook of the week.
Wow.
Sorry for getting into the big leagues. We're here to talk about the people's tennis.
Yeah.
Triangle area recreational tennis, not the Pro Tour. That's for another pod on the East End Boyz Content Network.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, summer singles is fast approaching. I think teams are locking in the triangle in the next day or two in a few leagues. And so my first question that I want to put to y'all is, what are the biggest differences between spring and summer singles? Obviously, it's going to be a little hotter, but beyond just the weather, and if so, how does that impact?
You can go, Michael.
Oh, okay. So I have a more administrative answer to this question, I think.
Oh, that's good.
My answer to this, the big difference between spring and summer is just the number of teams available to play in Durham right now. That's the big, I think, is like, I've been captaining for a lot of years, and I think that this is the first season where it's like, we're going to have like, I think 6 or 7 teams in 4-0.
Wow.
I think that, just from the standpoint of like, that's totally, I think, different this year is just the sheer number of people that don't have teams. I felt bad because people are asking like, what's the deal with 4-0 singles? And it's like.
And so what's the why there? Is it just a lack of captains? Is it that there's not court space? Like, why? There's certainly the players. Why aren't there more teams?
Yeah, I think the thing is, I talked to the person who is the head of, the president of the CTA here, and it is just a court space thing. Southern Boundary's getting resurfaced, Forest Hill's getting resurfaced. There's just not enough space, and it's unfortunate because there's a lot of people who want to play and just can't for summer.
Yeah, and I think one thing that the Triangle Tennis Podcast prides itself on is that we believe that tennis is for the people. You should not have to be a member of some fancy country club or a racket club, which is a much more reasonably priced alternative, but still expensive. Everyone should be able to play tennis, and I think it's a real disappointment that the city hasn't found a way. I totally empathize with the team over at DPR. They've got tough jobs. They got more people than there are courts. But, maybe some creative scheduling. I just hope they'll find a way to continue to have the game growing, because an active community is a healthy community, and a healthy community is a happy community.
I was talking earlier this week to someone, and I am going to extend like a year of giving the CTA grace for taking over Durham, because I know it is a tough situation to come in where like you do have a lot of courts that are, we'll get into this later I'm sure, but being vandalized. You have courts that are being resurfaced and can't even be played on. Their management of Durham League, I'm willing to give them the next year to sort of figure out where they are with it, because like obviously it's not ideal to be playing 4-0 summer singles on a Friday night.
Oh,
right,
which is
That's
what we're
awful,
doing
yeah.
this year is Friday night, like 6:30. Yeah, that's not the move. So maybe next year when we have more courts, we'll see what it looks like. But
Damn, they're out here making it harder to be an elite wife guy with the every
Yeah,
Friday night
that's like
league matches.
That's my one time, unless I'm playing a tennis tournament. Friday night is a no-go
Yeah.
for tennis.
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Well, Michael, you touched on it, and I want to go to Matt here for a second. The Elmira courts, they keep getting vandalized. Yep. For the folks that aren't aware, Matt, what's going on, and what do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, again, we've talked about a lot of theories. If you dig up episode 1, obviously whaling was one of the top theories. Hammocks was another theory.
Sorry, what was that?
Oh, whaling.
It was obviously whaling.
You haven't
obviously.
heard? You haven't heard about the Zack?
No, this is new.
Oh, this is new?
Yeah.
I thought this was common
No,
knowledge.
I have no idea. No.
Oh.
No, I'm the mayor of East End, and I don't know about this.
You use the nets and you catch whales with them. So that has been one of the things that's
theories.
been overheard at a hipster coffee shop in downtown Durham.
Yes, multiple times.
Okay.
Yeah. So that.
Yeah, many people are saying. I actually just heard somebody talk about how the nets were used for whalings like a second ago. It was crazy.
Yeah. So that's our top theory. The other theory is apparently there was actually some birthday party and the kids were just being assholes and sat on the nets. That's the other theory.
Sat on the nets?
Yeah, like so they just, that's what I think someone told me, like the kids had birthday parties and they just like tore apart the nets and like sat on them and shit.
So, I mean, I did see pictures from the morning after that someone had sent, and it looks like they had been literally cut with something sharp.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that.
A lot of rumors.
That might be telling tales out of school.
Exactly. I mean, again, whaling is the leading theory, obviously. I'm just trying to talk about other possible options.
One alternative theory, much less likely than whaling, I think, is that sort of loosely what Matt said, just a bunch of kids thought it would be funny. That a bunch of middle-aged dudes would be, like, big mad about it, and, like, we are.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it is very funny to them, and I'm sure when I was, like, 16, I would have thought that was very funny. But now that I'm like the middle-aged man who's pissed off about it, it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. I don't want those kids to get in trouble. If it is kids, I don't care who it is. I don't want them to get in trouble. But I do really hope they stop doing it. It sucks not having access to those courts. And I think, a lot of people, tennis is part of their routine and part of what makes them feel like them. And, it makes it way harder for people to get court time when there's no nets.
I think it's wonderful that you at 32 think that you're middle-aged. I think that's adorable. Zach.
I mean, like, let's do the math, right? Like, am I going to hit 96? Like, hopefully. Yeah. But that would put me in the middle third, right? That's a great time to shout out Jimmy Washington, who I believe is an over 75 national champion.
Oh, wow.
That plays out of the triangle.
Wow.
I saw him play in a tournament once, and it was like 80 degrees, long sleeves, long pants.
Whoa.
Playing just slice out of his mind singles. That dude's my hero,
Wow.
and that is very much what I hope to be when I'm in the 75
we all
plus
aspire to that. Yes, they have a
Jimmy
75?
Washington, the Triangle Zone.
They have a 70+ league.
Yeah, I think it's 40 and 55.
No. That's for NTRP, right? But for open divisions, they do it by age, right? So once you're 75, whether you played in college or not is less relevant. It's more
how have you been taking
how you've been doing the last 75 years.
Yeah. That's why my motivation to get in shape. Not a ton of big guys playing 75 plus open singles.
Yeah. Age is the great equalizer.
It is,
as they say. Yeah.
Anything
else?
I
play with some 40 plus people who can ball.
Oh well, 40 plus.
Sure.
Dude, I legit thought when I last year when I was like I'm gonna come in 40 plus, like I'm a pretty fit guy, like I can run all day, and And I was like, I'm gonna run these fools all, just clap these nerds. And man, it is not like that, dude.
Yeah.
I'm getting clapped at 40 plus in 4-0.
What's the style of play? Is it pretty varied, or do you see some of like the old school ball, or what?
It's just dudes who are, you can tell when they were in their prime, were like super competitive.
Yeah.
But, you know, did very well for themselves, joined a very nice club, play a lot, and they can still ball, you know, and at like 55 because they just took care of themselves. So
Yeah.
it's nice. It's humbling to get, you know, cranked at 40 plus by some guys who were some Duke nerds.
I feel like that's one of the great things about tennis that you just touched on, though, is like it's a sport that really encourages healthy behavior, not just on the court. Well, I mean, I feel like it creates really unhealthy behavior on the court, but it encourages healthy behavior off it. Yes, you'll have a mental breakdown while you play it, but you'll have one less beer on a Friday night because you got a Saturday morning match.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fair. I lost 4-6 to a guy who was like 67 when I played him.
Wow.
Big crypto guy too. Not that that means anything, but you know, why leave it out? And
Sure.
he was like, "Oh, I'm a former 5-0, like blah blah blah," and he just, at 67 years old, just took me to school.
So obviously the heat for summer singles is something. So coming from Indiana, that was, I know that's an obvious one, but still coming from Indiana, like that is a different story. I remember Jackson and I playing one time. I was gonna play in Alabama, and I had just come back from a vacation, and I needed to get some reps in. So I asked Jackson to play. I think we were 5-all the second set, and the man was sweating through his shoes. There was, when he would take a step, and there would be a puddle of sweat. And when I saw that, I was, okay, we need to stop. That's not okay. And so like that heat, I'm used to playing in the summer, but that heat is just rough. And then like Michael was saying, the number of teams. So you have to like it's like load management, man.
Yeah.
Like you can't be playing 3 singles matches in a week for more than a couple weeks. That's a lot. So you got to manage that.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a
really
question?
Quick?
Yeah.
Sure.
No, I don't know about y'all. The only time I carry 2 pairs of shoes when I play tennis is from June until August.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm going to sweat. If I go 3, I'm going to sweat.
That's
through 'em. I can
wild.
kind of get away with 2, but if you 3 sets and it's 95, you're going to need a backup pair of shoes, socks, shorts, the whole shebang. Michael, I think you had a question.
Yeah. Can I ask a question to the group? This is a good summer singles question. Are the 6:30 or the 8 o'clock matches worse?
Oh, Matt, I don't know.
Probably
What do you think,
6:30
man?
because it's still hot. I don't like
You think
playing
so?
at 8 because I don't like, it's kind of late, but it's cooler. So anything that's cooler.
Oh, so I disagree so wholeheartedly. I would say the 8 o'clock just because of the humidity.
Yeah.
I've cramped at every cramping match I've had in summer singles has been an 8 o'clock match.
Oh, okay.
6:30 I'm okay because it's still kind of dry.
Okay.
I understand the necessity of the 8 o'clock match to make sure everybody's able to get court time, but it is I cannot ever. I never go into an 8 o'clock match feeling good because I don't really know when to eat before it. I know that I'm going to be up late after it. Like a lot of elite athletes, I like to take caffeine before I play, and thus I'm going to it messes up my sleep schedule. I think the 8 o'clock match just on its own sucks, and then you throw in the humidity, and you throw in it gets dark midway through the match. I give me the 6:30, and I'll be sweaty and stinky, but happier.
This is a great time for me to plug my sponsor, which is Pedialyte Sport.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they asked me to do a little ad read on here, and what I was gonna say is if you like the idea of what Gatorade would look like would taste like if you spilled pickle juice in it.
Okay.
I say Pedialyte Sport is for you. I have not cramped since I started using that. So in terms of like gear for summer singles, Pedialyte Sport is the go-to. Strong recommend.
Are you bringing that to every match? Or are you just bringing that to singles or
June to August for singles?
Okay.
Yeah.
Never leaves the bag.
Speaking of, what else do y'all put in your bag in the summer that you don't have there in the spring?
A towel.
Yeah. I sweat every time I play, man. I don't know if there's more wristbands, an extra shirt.
Just one?
Yeah, maybe 2.
Oh man, I minimum 3.
Minimum 3?
If I go 3 sets,
Are you wearing cotton or are you wearing,
like
I always wear dry fit?
I'm wearing dry fit.
And you're still going through 3?
Man,
That's a lot.
I'm too sweaty and too Polish to go cotton for anything other than like November until February. Maybe. That, and honestly, November's dicey.
I bought a handheld. I don't have it with a handheld fan that like just blasts air in you. And I'm super excited to use it on changeovers.
That's the most Matt Hanauer purchase I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
That's so Midwestern.
I needed it.
Midwestern dadly. It's incredible.
Imagine rolling up to side change and seeing a guy in a visor just fanning himself with a personal fan.
That'll be
and just for good measure, he's a lefty. He doesn't miss, and he's the nicest guy on the planet between changeovers. It's like
I'm a different guy on the other side of the court.
I think that's what you want to be, though, right?
Yeah,
you want to be a little bit of an asshole in point and the nicest guy between changeovers.
I always get mad at myself. Yeah.
Go
ahead.
I like to have chalk in my bag in the summer. I feel like I lose a little bit of touch when I have to go to the chalk, and so I try and use the towel to keep my hand dry as long as I can. But the chalk definitely helps if you're a sweater.
I have liquid chalk is my go-to.
I actually just ordered it. I think it's a Prince product as well.
It could be. Yeah, I use this because I use it for lifting too. So I have it for lifting and then my bag for tennis.
Yeah.
I will be honest with you. When I was looking at your show notes here, and you said towels, chalk, I was like for like pickleball lines. Like I didn't really understand. And then now it makes more sense. Yeah.
Well, I also like to do the LeBron thing where you pour a bunch in your hands and like throw it up in the air. Like it looks cool when LeBron does it. When it's like, before a 4-0 or 4-5 recreational tennis match, it's less cool, but it's still
really cool. I think it could be equally as cool depending on the situation.
Yeah, I think I'd love to hear what situation you think would make it equally as cool, Matt.
Oh man, oh.
A national championship in rec is as cool as like I don't know an early season LeBron game.
Like, basically the same thing. Like beating
the stakes are comparable.
Beating someone's team that maybe we shouldn't mention on the podcast. Maybe doing that.
Can I pose a question that I saw on Reddit about tennis, and it involves basketball players?
Sure.
Yes.
It's an interesting question. I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on this because I have my own thoughts. I'm a take.
The answer's gonna be Boban Marjanovic for me.
That's no free chicken, baby. I feel that. I'll talk about it later, maybe. But do you think it would take Steph Curry from picking up a racket as a rank beginner, but being athletic as he is, to playing 5-0 tennis? How long do you think that would take? Could he do it in a year?
How much time is he spending on this?
Let's say that he devotes, he
retires.
He quits basketball and says, I'm going to play Vivek Ramaswamy level tennis.
Such an absurd reference.
He is a 5-0.
It's a factually correct reference.
He's computer rated 5-0. That is,
you can look at Vivek.
I had no idea.
On tennis record. Tennis record.
What?
Yeah. He's a computer rated 5-0.
Every time I see him, I'm like, that guy's such an asshole, but I would love to play him in tennis.
Wow.
I wouldn't want to talk during the changeovers, but I definitely hit with him.
He has elite footwork. I mean, that's real talk. He has elite footwork. I'm not going to mention anything about his politics, but his footwork is outrageous.
He plays a lot of confidence.
How do you know his footwork?
Yeah. He does. Yeah.
He put out like a campaign ad, and it was like,
that's true.
Look, when you have a tennis group chat, everybody comes from a different background, all that, like different walks of life, different political views, and so you try not to bring politics in it. That was the most political I think that the East End Boyz group chat ever got, because with that, and I think there was something to do with like elections abroad. But yeah, anyway, you want to keep it apolitical, but when somebody's a 5-0, that transcends politics. 5-0 is a 5-0.
It's giving I respect the art, not the artist sort of thing. But in this case, instead of art, it's just recreational adult tennis. Yeah. And he happens to be a very high level. So my question is, how long would it take Steph Curry to be as good as Vivek Ramaswamy at tennis if he quit basketball and just devoted his entire life to playing tennis? What would it take for him to beat Vivek Ramaswamy in a tennis match?
Well, let's start
on clay in California.
How windy is it? Are the Santa Anas, doing their thing?
It's California desert winds.
Okay.
How would it take?
Let's say 10 to 15 mile an hour gusts.
I'll set the over under at a year. Would it take Steph Curry more than a year to be able to beat a 5-0 in a tennis match?
I mean, I think if it's Vivek, there would definitely be some significant stakes, right? So let's assume that Steph Curry is more used to performing athletically under the spotlight, under pressure than Vivek, although Vivek has been in pressure situations. But also, like, Steph Curry's got an outrageous amount of resources at his disposal. In my heart of hearts, I believe if he's spending 40 hours a week taking lessons, watching film, all the above, I think he at least wins a set, but I think he probably wins the match in a year. And as somebody who's been playing for 30 years and is not a 5-0C, it hurts me that somebody can do it in a year. But, like, with those resources and his hand-eye, like, yeah, man.
Do you think so?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I think he could.
I also think, look, like, what's the killer for most tennis players? Like, undisciplined shot selection. Anyone that gets to the level that he has a level of discipline that is unimaginable to a normal human being. Like, he's not going to hit dumb shots, ever. And that's, like, a day one thing. You know, all of us hit dumb shots every single match. Most games we hit a dumb shot, if not more than one.
If you look at the body compositions between the 4-5s, 5-0s, 4-0s, 5-0s, like there's no overweight 5-0s. Like that's also like he's in shape, and that's a huge difference.
He's also like he looks small on a basketball court, but like he's taller than Nadal. You know, like he doesn't weigh that. Like he probably weighs as much as Nadal.
Yeah.
Right. Like. He looks small relative to who's around him. Stand him next to a group of tennis players.
How tall is he?
Minus like Zverev and Tsitsipas. I think he's 6'3".
That's a good height for tennis, yeah.
Yeah, that's like, he's taller than Alcaraz.
So my question then would be, have you guys seen the video footage of Jimmy Butler? Was it Jimmy Butler? No.
No, it was Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade, that's what it was.
Other Heat legend, Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, sorry, I had the wrong Heat guy. Have you seen the video of Dwayne Wade playing tennis? It is just the epitome of like how hard this game is for like just someone picking it up as like an adult. Because like, listen, like you could give me 1,000 tries to score a basket on Dwayne Wade and I will succeed on 0 of them. But like I could crank that guy in a pickup match in tennis based on what I saw on YouTube. I could double bagel this dude, and I think that's the question that I have to ask when we talk about Steph Curry is, yes, the dude is extremely athletic. This game is very hard to learn, How long would it take?
Look at Jackson. Jackson picked up the game in COVID and he's already a 4-5.
But also like in this, like Dwayne Wade, I assume plays like a couple times a week with, maybe a lesson or two, maybe a practice match or two. In this scenario, Steph Curry is playing 40 hours a week every week, no weeks off. Probably going to Nadal Academy every other week. So if he's playing if he's taking 2 lessons a week, playing 1 practice match or 2 a week, I don't know that he gets to 5-0. But if he's like, I'm gonna be a 5-0 tennis player, yeah, man. I believe the same is likely true for Dwayne Wade.
You think so?
Likely.
I still think I could beat Dwayne Wade in tennis.
I think right now you could beat Dwayne Wade. I think that Dwayne Wade, you've been called out by the Triangle Tennis Podcast, and our first.
That'll be our first. We'll have to commentate that match. It'll be our first Triangle Tennis commentated match. Dwayne Wade versus Michael Young.
We're all a fan.
Yeah,
all of us love you, Dwayne Wade. All of us.
He would never even get to deuce against a computer-rated 375.
Wow.
Dwayne Wade, we are such fans of yours. We are not talking that shit broadly, but when it comes to tennis, we are.
Where would
What's
you play
the final
the match?
score when you played Dwayne Wade?
Oh, okay, yeah.
East End, obviously.
Oh, that's what I assumed.
What's the final score? What's the final score if you played Dwayne Wade for both of you?
2 golden sets.
I'm not a greedy man.
Have you seen
I'm double
that?
bet.
Have you seen
I'm gonna
that
double
backhand?
breadstick Dwayne Wade.
Wow.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, my forehand to that backhand, I'm double breadsticking Dwayne Wade. Sorry, Dwayne Wade.
Which NBA legend would you like to play with Dwayne Wade in doubles? Zach, you and me against Dwayne Wade and who?
I mean, it would be really funny to share a tennis court with Charles Barkley.
That would be a good time. That would be a good time.
Also, can you imagine Shaq at the net? Shaq at the net. It's like look, he might. He doesn't even need to be good at tennis.
That guy's never making it overhead. I've looked at his free throws.
Yeah.
No overhead is getting made by Shaq.
I don't know that he's that's a high lob to get it over his head. Like All right, Matt. Who's the NBA player you most want to see play doubles against you and Dwayne Wade?
This is the best conversation I've ever had.
It has to be someone from Indiana. So
I really hope Dwayne Wade doesn't get mad at us for this, since as a tennis enthusiast, he's likely listening.
Yeah.
Is it Bird resurfacing the court?
Is it what?
Larry Bird resurfacing the court.
We didn't play at IU.
Oh my God.
So I don't think I can choose him, but Larry Bird would be great. Yeah,
I would cook Larry Bird in tennis. I would
This
fucking
guy.
embarrass Larry Bird in tennis.
Like right now, Larry Bird. Like are we talking?
Like right now, Larry
Okay.
prime Larry Bird. I'll cook him in tennis.
Larry Bird.
Hologram Larry Bird, and I'll work his ass.
Yeah. I don't know.
I love that.
I don't think I could. Yeah, I don't think I could beat him. I would wonder if Bobby Knight would be any good at tennis.
He'd be an incredible chair umpire. Can you imagine somebody back talking to chair umpire Bobby Knight?
Throw his fucking chair. He'll get up and throw his fucking chair at you.
Rublev would calm down if Bobby Knight was the chair.
There's this Zverev joke in here somewhere, but I don't want to get off topic on that.
You don't want to get off topic.
Here's a Zverev joke. The fucking lack of action by the ATP. It's outrageous. It's a bad joke. It's offensive.
I didn't watch Breakpoint Season 2, if I'm being honest. I was, like, holed up in my house doing nothing for Season 1. But, like, it was getting dusty in the house when I was watching a lot of the stuff from Season 1. I was, the Kyrgios stuff and the Badosa stuff was, like... And especially the Ons Jabeur stuff was, like, really...
Yeah.
And then I heard that they were doing, like, a whole episode on Zverev, and I was like, this guy... sucks.
It was so uncritical too.
No,
like they didn't even address it. You know, I don't understand. Like, look, I get the idea is to grow the game and promote the game, but like, why would you pick him, that specific guy, who's done those specific things, to be a representative of the game? Like Kyrgios already was like kind of dicey, so then to have Zverev too, I don't know. It's a bad look for the ATP.
Yeah.
Not as bad of a look as them playing the WTA Tour final in Saudi Arabia, which is worse.
It's so bad. It's so bad. I don't know what's going on there. A little out of my league here in terms of I don't get that.
Matt, what do you think?
I have no fucking clue what you're talking about, man. I only watch IU basketball. It's the only sport I watch. I have no idea what's happening.
Michael, break it down for him, Michael. Break it down for the people.
Well, so the big thing now is that they want to do they've been...
Who's they? Who's the they here?
The WTA.
Okay.
They've been just absolutely botching the finals every year. You know, this year, famously, the stadium wasn't even put together when they were about to get started.
Oh, no.
On the like WTA finals. And so, you know, obviously this is like, it was in Mexico, it was like a bad situation, but
some execs are going to make $1 zillion off of it, so they're doing it. And there we go. And on that uplifting note, let's talk about something a little better. Let's do a spring season check-in.
Okay.
We're at the mid-season point roughly. You know, I think I've begun to accept, Matt, that our 5-0 team, which is across 4 matches, I believe, all of one individual line. I've begun to accept we're not going to states.
Yeah, it seems probable. The likelihood of every other team somehow magically getting hurt or losing the rest of their matches. You know,
right.
It was. I had high hopes, but yeah, we've gotten a couple sets, I think. I don't think we haven't gotten a line yet. I don't think.
I think we got one line.
Who won?
On Tennis Record and prep for this pod that show that we have one line.
Oh, maybe did someone default?
That's ice cold.
Folks, that's what it's like to play up at 5-0. It's a different caliber player at that level. You know, I'd like to think of myself as like a slightly below average 4-5. And it just getting absolutely worked off the court. Yeah. I think it's worth playing up if you want to improve, because it humbles you to get vicious ass kickings you do when you play up. I took the first double bagel in quite some time.
Yeah,
a couple months
ago.
That
was brutal,
and it was. Matt, how many points did we win on our return to serve across 2 sets?
What, like 2?
Do you know the answer to this? That's very generous of you. We did win one.
We did win one.
Yeah, I think it might have been a double fault, but we definitely won one.
The one guy you were playing against, he didn't try. He put in zero effort and was annihilating you. That was absurd. He didn't sweat.
Yeah, it was hurtful.
He didn't sit down. I sat down the whole time, and I was like, "Do you want a seat?" He's like, "I'm good, man." He was very nice, but he just didn't get. He didn't get any water. Just unbelievable.
I hope that guy didn't drive far, because that had to be so unsatisfying to just absolutely embarrass us like that.
It seemed like he was having a good time out there.
Let's go over to some other leagues
Yeah.
where the greater East End Boyz network might have more of a shot. Michael,
Yes.
what's happening in your spring
Yes.
leagues? Give us the updates.
Well, let's see. The 4-0 league, I think that we are in middle of the pack. So Solid also ran for 18 plus 4-0. 40
Who's the
plus,
star of that team so far? Give us a quick give us shout out to your guys.
I think Alpic has been really killing it lately. You know, Lefty Nightmare.
Yeah.
Crafty
Best
player.
swinging volley in Durham. Best swinging volley in Durham.
Oh,
Yeah,
I would
I would
agree
agree
with
with
that. Yep, I agree with that. Yep.
Yeah. Some people who are getting some really solid wins at 4. I don't know if he's won, but I think that Mark Scher has a couple of really good matches at. Considering that dude was like a 3-0 like a year ago and is now like cranking at 4-0, he's been doing really well too. Stewart, I think, got his first win at 4-5.
Stewart, yeah, in our match, he had a great
In a clincher.
Yeah, it was the one that decided the match. Yeah.
He's on the team. He's doing really well. Just a lot of like kind of unfortunate matchups. There's some really good teams at 18 plus 4-0, but I'm undefeated at 40 plus 3-5.
Nice.
Now we're talking.
Our team is almost certainly going to states. I think we swept tonight.
Run us through the roster. Who's on that future? I mean, I think states is just the beginning for this team. By the way, I think that sectionals is the floor and nationals is a reasonable expectation. Who's the team?
That 3-5 team is killing it. Peter Bream is the captain.
Oh, nice.
Dr. Peter?
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, that's right. Ben Redmond is on that team.
Oh,
I don't know if
what?
you guys have seen this on Tennis Record. He has like a 4.13.
Wow.
How did they let him on a 3-5 team?
Yeah.
I don't know. He hasn't gotten DQ'd yet. It's crazy.
How is that possible?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Is he a,
What's his-
is he a 3-5S?
He's a 3-5S.
What's his
yeah,
playing
he's joining this
style?
summer.
Because like I never got, even though I never lost the 3-5 match, people always like assume.
That's not true, Matt. That's not true.
Oh,
Matt.
a 3-5 singles match. I'm sorry, my bad. Singles
okay.
match. Let me.
'Cause I was gonna say,
you beat me. You did. That
you
was a
lost.
good match. That was a good match. First
That was a
setter.
good match.
That was
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, I never lost a 3-5 singles match, and I would beat people very badly. But the way I played, they just didn't think they should have won the match. So like no one would dare report me because they were like embarrassed that they lost.
Matt, is it safe to say that you lead the triangle in the most like bagel breadstick wins against somebody where the guy walks off the court saying like, I really think I had it?
Yeah. People think, especially back in the day. Now it's not so much, but when I first came here, they had a lot of 4-0, 3-5 people be like, I almost had the guy, and it just was.
I remember seeing, I think it was the Kerry Summer Sizzle a couple of years ago where I hurt my shoulder, seeing the results where you beat Spencer, I want to say like
0-2
in the
it was
final.
yeah.
I played
Just
in that
being
tournament.
like,
Yeah.
what? I knew he was good, but like how? I just hadn't seen anybody beat Spencer like that ever. And that was when I think I put it together. They're like, oh yeah, maybe this is these are a series of strategic choices that are paying off for him.
I got clapped by Lefty Sean in that same tournament. Yeah, that's when I knew that he had really made it. I was like, because I had heard, he was just some guy who had taken up tennis and started playing with Daniel, but then he came out and just absolutely worked me in that tournament, and I was like, this dude's good.
Yeah.
He's a tough matchup.
Yeah.
And Daniel Marchek is a good tennis.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Anything else that we want to talk about in the spring season? Any predictions you want to make?
We had a shot. We had a shot at getting getting close with McClenny's team the other day at 4-5. So we won a doubles line. Patrick and Ron. So Patrick's Shields texts me. I have him with Stewart. He texts me. I forget some random day, and he goes. He had just played against Ryan Seiko, and he goes, "Hey, I want to play with Ryan." And I was like, "Okay." He had played against him, and he wanted to play behind his serve, and it worked well. They beat the 1 or 2 doubles on McClenny's team, which he's undefeated in 4-5. So
they're also both gigantic.
Yeah.
That's a lot of net presence. That's a lot of feet.
It was fun to watch. Yep. They won, and then Stewart and Nick Gilder lost in a third set tiebreak to, I forget, it was Wes and Tyler Newman, but it was a great match. If we would have won that, Zach, we were going to put you in at singles and might have been able to take it. So we'll see. But we ended up losing that. But we had it. We almost had them. So that would have been fun. But
I mean, that's my prediction. I think our 4-5 team is about to go on a little run. I think look, we got a lot of guys on the right trajectory who are having fun playing tennis, who are getting increasingly strong results.
Yeah.
This is actually, I think, not just our team thing. I think this is a kind of nationwide thing. There were a lot more people that got bumped last season, and so I think that was good because we needed to get things resorted out after COVID, which I know sort of led to people not being at quite the right levels in a bunch of different places.
Yeah.
You've got all these teams and all these players adjusting to a new level, and I think that our guys are the ones who are benefiting the most from getting these reps. Because I think like a lot of us didn't play up last year. I just had my first 4-5
I think a
match
lot of
couple
us
weeks
played
ago.
up. I think that was you didn't play up.
A couple did. A couple, yeah, but I think I believe Jackson and Jaron.
They played up.
No, listen. This
they did? Okay,
this guy.
shit, is this me?
This guy right here. This guy right here.
Whoopsies.
I was telling him, I was like, "Oh man, you should play 4-0," and he's like, "I don't think I want to play anything below 4-5." So this guy right here being like, "Well, maybe." No, you didn't play down. You played nothing but up.
Wait, who, me?
Yeah, you.
I was gonna say,
what do you mean?
Zach.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you mean?
You
I
admitted
didn't play 4-5.
No, you admitted to me a bunch of times that you were like too cool for 4-0.
When did why?
Last year.
I got a little bored.
were-
I got a little bored at singles.
I never
don't-
said
I
that.
don't
Wait,
like
are you
it.
talking about Matt
here
said
we,
that?
This is
Matt
now,
said
now
that.
this is interesting.
Yeah.
No.
Hold
'cause
on.
I
I did
didn't
not
talk
say
to
I
Matt
got-
about this. I talked to you about this. And what you said were just
Hold the
like,
phone.
I don't know about 4-0. Like, I don't think, if I don't get bumped, I'm probably not going to play 4-0 this year. That's what you told me.
So I said that I stopped having fun at 4-0,
Yeah.
which I did because I had a string of really good results, and so I was happy with that. But it kind of got to, and maybe this is like a thing that happens with other players too. It got to a place where like I didn't feel like I wanted to win. I felt like I had to win.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was putting
That
all
was
this
me,
like
too.
pressure on myself. When you have a string of good results, like it started to mess with me. And so like I'd be in a close match against a guy that maybe I'd beaten a little more handily, and I'd be so in my head. And legit, it's not that I was too cool for 4-0, it's that but I was going to start playing 4-5 exclusively. Because towards like in the summer singles and fall like area, I wasn't having a good time anymore. I was just feeling the pressure in a different way.
Okay. I'm just curious. Yeah. I thought that was interesting. I just wanted to hear, your take on that. Are you having fun at 5-0?
I mean,
I'm having fun watching you guys. I think it's a great time.
I think it's like good for me to get humbled like that. I think it's good to take it. I think it's good for my game to take. In like a match and a half, yeah.
That one match. We don't talk about that one match, but
Are you saying that like all the games go to deuce, that kind of thing?
No. He's had good results. You've had what's that? The one.
We've got a hostile guest now, Matt. We got a hostile guest.
I will back you up on this. He's had him and Spencer went to 3 with 2 very good players, and then that singles match at Hollow Rock against the Super Soldier guy. I don't know what his name was.
So I do think. I was skeptical on the idea of playing up, which Michael's making fun of me about last year. Like I thought,
not at all.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But I think like I am enjoying getting my ass kicked playing up. I think it's good for your progression if you want to go to a higher level to see where the gap is. You learn about where your weaknesses are taking a double bagel or double breadstick L more than you do in just kind of a.
I mean, I just miss you. I just miss you at 7-5, Zach. I'm gonna miss you a lot this year.
7-5 was fun. I love 7-5 combos. 7-5 I do love singles. Singles I like from a purely tennis, but like 7-5 was my favorite.
I think Christopher Green had a really fun match at 7-5 last year at NCCU.
Central. Yeah, that was a great match. That was a great match.
I love those courts.
I was watching.
I do like those courts.
I take Matt's assessment of it. The loosest nets in all of the triangle.
They are.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Having never played on there, but helping warm up on that because we watched that match.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
a lot
of fun.
of people also call the central courts the Roland Garros of triangle area hard courts because of their famously deep fences, and that, I mean Christopher
same color too.
Yeah,
lots of lobs in that match. That was a good match.
It's a good place to lob. I love lobbing there.
Yeah, I believe Steven was very angry.
Yeah,
if I recall correctly.
I think he was normal. I think that's just normal Steven. Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah.
It's really fun to play against Steven because he brings such an intensity and it makes you want to dial, or for me it makes you want to dial in more.
Yeah.
And I always love playing against him.
That's the point. Yeah,
good player too.
What are your favorite courts to play at in the triangle, East End, notwithstanding?
Oh man. Well, I mean, East End are obviously the people's courts. Those are number one. But if we can't pick East End,
you got to pick a league match court.
I like Hollow Rock. So I know the courts are not in great shape. I know the lights aren't great at night, but I love the Choo Choo Train. And Choo Train is worth all of the other stuff.
Fucking game of the people guy talking about a private club is his favorite place to play in the Triangle.
God damn it! I mixed up Hollow Rock and
Rock Quarry.
Rock Quarry. I meant Rock Quarry.
Trains at Hollow Rock.
Oh no!
I don't know where you're getting that from.
They got rock in the name. I meant Rock Quarry.
Yeah.
It's the first place I ever broke a racket when I was 12.
Yeah.
My dad thought it was funny.
It's the last place I ever broke a racket, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's the story of the last racket you broke?
Oh, man. I was up 5-1, 30 love on Evan and ended up losing that set. But I had my old K6 in the bag, and it was like 5-4 at that point, and I was like, if I lose this match, I'm going to break this racket, and I broke it at the end of the match. And yeah, it was cathartic. So it was the last place I ever broke a racket, first place that Zack ever broke a racket. Not the last, though. What's the last place you ever broke a racket, Zack?
Oh, it was against Jackson Cavill. It was against Jackson Cavill, and we were in a great match. It was a close. I'd won the first. It was close in the second. I was I think it was a break point perhaps, where I had an advantage in the point but hadn't won it. And a ball rolled onto the court, and Spencer Llewellyn correctly said let, and the point stopped. And I was like annoyed to begin with, and then I lost the point and the game on my serve, and I hit like a dumb shot too. I tanked it in the net, I think, and I just lost it. And I was like, fuck this, and just bashed the racket. One good swing. And then I think a second for good measure, just to make sure I broke it, because once you swing, like if you swing with intent to break, you have to break it.
Yeah,
like even if it had not been broken after the first swing, like the principle of it, I had to break that racket at that point. Didn't want to do it. I owed it to the game of tennis.
Yeah. No, I understand.
Yeah. Matt, what about you?
Oh, I have a great. Mine's great. So Nick and I were down. It was at a tournament.
Oh, this is recent.
Yeah, this is recent. Yeah,
recent,
recent-ish. It's probably maybe around a little past when Zack did it.
You could legally buy alcohol when the last time you broke a racket.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This was like 6 months ago. Or
so
something.
Recent. Oh, okay. Yeah. So recent.
yeah. So yeah, Nick and
Joe Biden was president.
Yes, Joe Biden was president. Yeah. We were playing a tournament.
Depends who you ask.
Yeah.
Opinions differ.
They do, but I don't know if they should. But anyways, this is not the triangle.
So within the last 6 months, you're saying?
Yeah. Within the last 6 months. So we were down 3-8. You guys have probably heard this story. We were down 3-8 in a tiebreak tournament. I turn around, chuck my racket against the fence, and it made a really loud sound, so everyone stopped. It hit the pole, and Nick goes, "Hey, did you break your racket?" I was like, "No, it's fucking fine. It's fine. We'll just keep playing." We end up coming back and beating these guys in the tiebreak to win the match.
Nice.
And I played in
final score
10-8. I don't think they won another point.
After your throw, you won the next 7 points.
I believe that is correct. Yes.
Oh, that's killer.
It was, and there were they had their crowd there, and they were getting rowdy. There was a ball that I forget Nick or I called out, and their fans were not fucking having it. And Jackson just out of nowhere was like, "That ball was out," just like so sincere. He's like, "No, that ball was out."
That's elite.
And after the match, they came up to us, both the players and like their fans and moms and everyone come up and was calling us cheaters. It was crazy. Yeah, they were calling us cheaters, and Jackson and this one dude were about to throw down. Like, this one dude was getting in Jackson's face, and then Jackson kind of just rolled up his shoulders a little bit and was kind of like, "You really want to go, bro?" And he backed the fuck off.
That's Jackson.
What was that guy thinking, man?
Jackson is like Jackson is like Captain America.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Jackson got a little serious. He's like, "Whoa, you want to go?" And then that guy was, I'm good.
Jackson is such a kind guy, and an all around joy on the tennis court. But what was that dummy thinking? Even considering that? Matt, am I to understand that you did in fact break your racket on that?
I did, but I didn't know it until a day later. So I played with it the whole time. I played with the broken racket.
Question: Did you after you noticed a day later? Did you ever play that racket again?
No.
So you have won every single point you've played with that broken racket, and you haven't played with it since.
I think probably because I warmed up. I think I was warming up, and I noticed it was broken the next day, or something. No, I lied. No. I played with it throughout the whole tournament. It wasn't until after the tournament that I knew it was broken. So I did lose.
Okay,
I won another match.
Did you win the tournament?
No, we got to the semis. Yeah, we played well.
Okay.
We played well.
That's like kind
You
of
and
sounds like a
Jackson?
magic racket.
No, I was playing with Nick Gilder. So Jackson and Jaron won
okay.
the tournament, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were playing with Jackson.
Yeah.
He's an elite doubles partner, by the way.
I know. I never
That
get to
guy,
play with him because
yeah.
he's always playing with Jaron. I played with Jaron a few times. We've had some good results.
Jaren's a good doubles partner.
Yeah.
He's like the other end of the spectrum from Jackson. Jackson's just like, what a loudmouth. I love it.
Yeah.
But Jaren like feeds off that very well.
Yeah.
It's nice. Yeah.
All right, gang. We are rapidly approaching.
I know. We're
At least the midway point. I don't know.
we're
we gotta get to the midway point.
An hour in.
We're at the midway. We are now at the midway point. We've decided. We have moved on into the next section. We are going to do this next little bit lightning style. Let's talk about something very important here, which is the Triangle Area Player Tournament performance. Got to give a quick shout out to Mike P winning his hometown tournament.
Nice.
Let's
the
fucking
Banana
go.
Open in Charlotte.
Let's go, Mike P.
That was a pretty spectacular run in an L5 tournament, and there are major points implications. Mike P is vaulting into the top 10 rankings at 3-5 in North Carolina, and I think it seems like he's making the leap to me. Have y'all seen Mike on the courts lately?
Dude, I landed him on my 4-0 summer singles team. I just looked at all the like who was on teams and he wasn't on one, and I was like, let's do it. And so he's maybe the anchor at this point on my 4-0 summer singles team, which is very good. But he might be a top guy on there, actually.
Oh my God! Get him a fake ID and put him on your 40+ 3-5 team.
Oh,
Let's
man,
make it happen. If you want to go to Natty's,
oh, that would be killer. Yeah, no, too many crafty guys, I think. Yeah.
To my knowledge, that's the only meaningful previous last couple weeks tournament results to report for a Triangle Area player. If we missed anything, please write in, text in, call in, email in, DM in, whatever. Just please communicate who's doing well. With that, I also want to talk about 2 upcoming tournaments. First up, we got Hollow Rock. Are y'all playing?
No,
I can't.
Why not?
I don't like tournaments.
My wrist hurts.
Well, as of right now, Stuart Bible and I are the only ones in the 4-5 doubles division.
Jackson and Jaron are in.
They said they were in. Had they signed?
I
checked like 2 days ago.
Oh, they said they were going to do it, and Lawrence and Joaquim are going to play.
Okay, I think we need one more team then
think
if
you do.
they're all gonna do it to
I mean,
draw
if someone
set, so.
wants to play with me, I can just like walk off the court and like serve right-handed
Canadian
and then
doubles?
walk off the court. Like I'm happy to do
You'd be
that.
like
That's such a
Charlize
generous
Theron
offer.
in that clip. Have you seen that? I'm
No.
sure you have. Yeah, where she's like,
Oh.
oh, no. Anyway, yeah, you can be Charlize.
Sure, I'm happy to be that.
So it sounds like everyone on the pod is excited for the upcoming Hollow Rock tournament. It's an L5 this year, so also major points implications. Still time to sign up if you're listening. It's always important to have a hometown presence at the home.
I'll be there to support you guys.
It is also the first tournament in the Triangle Grand Slam. The others obviously being Carrie Summersizzle, CHTC, and the Raleigh Racket Club.
Yeah, obviously.
Next up, we got the Wilmington tournament, an L4 this year. It's for a good cause, smashing cancer. If you're, I don't know, not anti-cancer, don't play. Stay home. Don't worry about it. Are you 2 signed up for this one?
I will be going again. The wrist is a mess. I actually just pulled out of singles, but I will be going, and I will be smashing cancer in any other way I can.
Yeah, I signed up for that tournament on the 1-year anniversary of being cancer free.
Nice.
So
That's awesome.
That's the only tournament that I'll be doing this year.
Nice.
Much to my chagrin, I think. But it'll be fun. It'll be good to,
it'll be fun.
even if I only play because I'm playing dubs with Mike, and so even if I only play 4 matches, it'll just be good to chill at the beach with the bros. You know, a little JBB time, just being bros.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
that's a new acronym
JBB.
for me.
Yeah, just being bros.
Okay,
JBB.
I like it.
I think the Wilmington tournament, it's a special tournament. If you're looking to crack a beer at 11 a.m., there's no better tournament in North Carolina. It's last year there was weather and that kind of messed up the plans, but like they do a fantastic job with the food. They have all kinds of raffles and prizes, and it's just a well-run event. And I think
the Wilmington crew is also super overrated too. Like they just aren't as good as Durham, you know.
Wow.
And so
you know what, Michael?
Jesus.
Keep going.
Yeah,
Let's get into it. Yeah, let's say it.
No, I mean real talk. The Wilmington crew, they just can't hang with this crew, and so we're gonna come down there and we're just gonna run shit.
I'm going to actually take it a step further. Straight up, the Triangle and Charlotte regions are better at tennis than everywhere else in the state, and it's not close. It's a population thing. Look, when the big city kids come to town, they get the wins. And so I totally agree. I think that we're going to see Triangle guys win every meaningful division.
I played Coastal Estates, and they only got 2 teams, so you know we just split sets all the way through, and this is the team that got there. But I played a guy who was just like crushing IPAs in the second set and at States, and they do love to drink down there, and you know, as a result they're just going to lose to all of us when we come down there and tell them what's up.
Would you say that Coastal is the weakest division in North Carolina?
Definitely not.
What's the weakest?
I think it's got to be Yadkin. What do you think, Matt?
They were pretty good in combo at 4-0. Yadkin.
Yadkin was,
I don't think it's Yadkin. It could be Coastal. I'm trying to think what other divisions there are.
Which one is Fayetteville in?
I don't know. Sandhills.
Yeah,
Sandhills. I think it's Sandhills isn't very good.
Sandhills.
Sandhills
has a couple of guys.
Kinsville.
Oh, Piedmont.
I think that might.
Piedmont. They can ball.
Wherever Kinston is. That is. Yeah. I don't know what division that is. There's just nobody lives in Kinston in that area.
Yeah, I got my first 4-0 win against a guy who moved here from Piedmont and joined Durham and was like, "So are you a 3-5?" It's like, yeah. So I that's all to say that I think when we come to Wilmington, I don't anticipate bringing home less than like at least 2 trophies from there.
Oh my God! When we show up, just give us the trophies. When the East End Boyz come to town, just hand them the trophies.
I mean, do you disagree?
We better deliver. We're gonna look like dipshits if we don't get some wins here. Even though we're obviously being silly, we're gonna look so dumb if we don't get wins. So East End Boyz, assemble.
Yeah.
Get those wins.
I mean, I'm just imagining a scenario where I have to play someone from here in the finals of the Wilmington 3-5 tournament.
Probably.
Daniel and I actually met in the finals last year to just affirm your theory.
By the way,
it was stinky because at that point we like.
Do you know this story, Matt?
Airbnb.
No.
Oh man.
So so last year in Wilmington, Daniel Marchek and I played both the singles in 4-0 and we were 4-0 doubles partners.
Sure.
We were successful in doubles and got the win, and then we met in the singles finals, and the match. And you can look the score up; it's public record. Go to Tennis Record,
Sure.
You can see it. It was one of the most outrageous scorelines that I've ever been a part of. Like I can't believe it happened. I can't believe I was on the wrong side of it. Mm-hmm. And we had much to talk about on the ride home, but it was something.
Yeah,
I think the final scoreline was 6-7, 7-6, and then 14-12.
Wow.
That's right. Yeah. And then after that, after they met at the net and were like, great match, and Zack was like, you played a really good set. He had a 2.5 hour drive home from Wilmington to Durham with
Daniel?
Daniel in the car.
Yeah.
Yep. Daniel drove, actually.
Yeah.
So Daniel was my ride home after that.
Yeah.
And we were checked out of the Airbnb at that point, so we just went straight from the courts to home. It was Daniel's 1-year wedding anniversary as well. There was some urgency to get there.
Yeah.
So truly court, pick up trophies, get in car, 2.5 hour drive home after quite a result.
Yeah.
One that is tough to forget. With that, we've covered the kind of upcoming tournaments. I think this is a segment that we're going to be doing regularly, just to let folks know about where all of the top Triangle area players for men's recreational from 3-5 to 4-5 tennis will be playing. With that, I want to hear from both of y'all. What's your mind game of the week? What's your go-to? What are you doing on the court besides your technique to get those wins?
I have one where if it's my serve, and I will walk up to the net to like get the ball from them, basically, like make it easier. There's no reason for me to like walk up to the net to like go get the ball, even if they're getting it to me. So I will walk up to the net and then I can walk back. So it's basically I get some more time to walk back because it looks like I'm being polite, like going up and getting closer to them to hand the ball so they don't have to like smash it. But that's my way to get a little extra like steps in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
When I was a junior, I was in a tournament and I was in the finals with a guy who did the exact opposite thing. And it was like one of the it was a mind game that was really like had a lot of, like, I still remember it to this day. It was like when I was 15 years old, but every time this dude would dump a ball into the net, make an unforced error when I was serving, he wouldn't go get it.
Oh.
So
wow.
I would have to like go and get the ball on the other side of the net or ask him to get it.
That's just shitty.
Every time.
Yeah.
I know, yeah. Not technically against the rules, but I was 15, dog. I'm like 41 years old now.
Yeah.
I still remember that.
Yeah.
Like that was just like the thing for me. I think now that I'm like caring a little bit less and like being more generous to myself, I think just being like really overly optimistic about my own play and giving a little let's go, some come on.
Love it.
Very divisive with some people.
Really?
Like yeah, definitely.
Oh.
I mean, yeah, I think that
What about it?
for adult recreational men's league tennis, throwing a loud let's go, come on, whatever, people don't take kindly to it sometimes.
You shouldn't shame it. We have to get rid of this stigma of the positivity shaming. You should be able to scream let's go. It's awesome. I love it.
I love it.
I want to throw one caveat on it.
40 plus hates it.
If your opponent misses a shot, after a missed shot, a really like, unless it's a really big point, a loud come on, like at like 15 all, that to me is pushing the limits. But after a good shot, fair game 100% of the time.
Some of us don't hit a lot of winners. So some of us rely on the other person to miss 95% of the shots. So I don't get a lot of chances to say come on. So sometimes I will do that, but that's
Do you say it after missed overheads?
I don't think I do, but I say it in my head really fucking loud because
that's a great mind game.
I love it when people miss overheads.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
I probably
great.
have when they missed an overhead.
When you hit like 3 defensive shots in a row and the third one they miss, like I don't know, like there's just no better feeling.
Like some of us don't hit winners, so those are our come on moments.
I'm trying to get in the habit of letting out unapologetic let's goes, come ons, and windmill like fist whatever, like windmill motions after I win a net cord winner. I think it's ridiculous that we apologize.
I don't apologize.
Of course I didn't mean to do it, but I love it. I love it every time it happens.
I talked to Zack about this earlier this week. I let it out just apropos of nothing when I was playing 3-5. I hit a shot that like it's a forehand, and the dude had a play on it for a volley, and it just went off the net cord and just kind of just looped over his racket. He kind of took a swat at it, and I was just like, out of nowhere, I was like, that dog will hunt, and I was like, I love that. Now I'm just start using that. Like that dog will hunt. Yeah, it's great. I'm a big fan of that one. No free chicken, also very good.
Free chicken.
No free chicken.
Yeah,
it's good to work those in.
Yeah, but
all right.
I feel good about it. Like I think that it's good to tell yourself that you did something good on the court. Yeah. Too many people are so negative. Just give yourself a come on. Let's go.
Yeah. It is. It's weird how often and how natural it is to get into a negative headspace on a tennis court. Like and I know it happens in every sport, but I feel like tennis more than many others is spent berating yourself. Why is that? And what do you do in those moments where you're getting into that really negative headspace and saying all kinds of mean stuff?
Since I've been playing pickleball, like nobody I'm the only one that yells at themselves on the court. Like nobody else is like negative.
How did you and Mike do, by the way, tonight?
Oh,
did you play with Mike?
I didn't play with Mike. We got absolutely obliterated. Mike and Chris won one line. No, these guys are good.
Nice.
Yeah, we lost one where we didn't win a point the whole game. It was.
Are you in a pickleball league?
Yeah, you didn't know that? Yeah, I have pickleball.
Yeah, I was playing with Mike earlier, and he was like, I got to bounce at 5. I got a pickleball match tonight.
Why didn't you play in our league? You should play in our league. Well, this is a whole nother story.
I might kid next year. I might do that. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a summer team.
This is just a great time to This is just a great time to plug the fact that, look, if you play a racket sport, we're part of the same community, and we should all get together, and we should get more courts built for both pickleball and tennis, and we should be on the same side because there are enough resources to go around. There's not, like, there was, like, this weird tennis pickleball animosity, and certainly at points initially I kind of, like, was guilty of it, but, like, look, it's just a fun thing to do outside with a racket.
Yeah.
Like, we should get on the same page and organize together and advocate to City Council and DPR to build more courts for everybody, both for pickleball and for tennis, because we can walk and chew gum at the same time.
Pickleball is fun, dude. It's
a good time.
You know, happy to just, like, that's a hot take I'll happily embrace. Like, first time I played, I was like, I get why this is popular. You're playing, like, real points within, like, 30 minutes of starting, like, learning how to play the game.
Exactly, yeah.
As a tennis player, I think that you can pretty much be better than anyone who has not played tennis and tries to play pickleball.
Yeah.
So if your friends who are pickleball players, like, you should come play with us. You can just, like, go out and just torch them. Right.
Yeah. Well, let's move into the next section of the podcast. This is going to be a long one.
This will be a long one.
Because it's a good one. Because it's flowing like wine. We're going to get into our interview of Mr. Michael Young. Matt, why don't you go ahead and ask the first question? What do you want to know?
Sure. When did you start playing tennis?
When I was 13 years old, I ran cross country my freshman year, and I was like, I'm not good at this. And so my neighbor and I, who ended up being my doubles partner through high school, ended up teaching ourselves how to play over the winter and tried out for tennis freshman year of high school, and so just been playing since then. Yeah.
Nice.
Did you enter high school when you were 13?
Yeah, I think so. It might have been even. Yeah, that makes sense.
That seems like young.
12.
Did you skip a grade?
No, 12 actually. No. I was born in 82 and I started high school in 96, so I would have been 12. I would have been turned 13, I guess. I don't know.
That seems very young.
Not important. No, I'm what the professors call bright but lazy. No advanced classes for me. Just way too low effort. Just like my tennis game. I started playing when I was 13.
What do you most enjoy about tennis as a sport?
You only have to have like 2 people to play. Do you know how hard it is to try to get adults?
Yeah.
Because I have played like soccer and basketball a little bit, but trying to organize for basketball is like 6 people. With like soccer, you need at least 10. 5 aside, 7 aside. Like, it's so hard to organize. And tennis is just, you can get one person for basically like I played with Mike Westlander before this whole East End thing happened. I played with him pretty much like 5 days a week for 3 years.
Yeah.
And that's all it takes to like get out and play. Also, I'm good at it, so that helps.
Can I ad-lib a
better
question
than average
here, Zach?
I would say.
Yeah, hell yeah.
What's the East End Boyz origin story?
Oh man.
Oh.
It's good. It's so funny. I thought about this question a lot because I thought it was going to come up, and I get a little bit of imposter syndrome with this, and I'll explain why. Because the East End thing started out with just about 6 people, and it was me, Mike, and then it was actually Kevin Mo Young, Muthu, and Evan, and like one other person. I don't remember who. And it was just the 6 of us for so long. And then league started, Zack came in, and the imposter syndrome thing comes from the fact that like once Zack was in the group, that's when it was like, let's add all these people, and that's when it started out. And so I feel like I get a lot of credit what this has become, but I feel like Zack was the person who really got the volume, the scale started on this.
I don't know,
a little
man.
bit.
I think I was maybe like one of the straws that broke the camel's back in a good way. Like I think I was just critical mass being hit because like the infrastructure was there, the courts were there, and the good doodliness vibes had already been curated. And so like it was easy to scale. And I think it was cool to kind of watch it happen, go from kind of this smallish group to like 30 people to like 80 people. And it kind of keep the same feel and same ethos. Like I think the curation of the vibes alone is invaluable to the group, and like I am eternally grateful to you for sort of starting this team with that crew, and for keeping it together. Like it's hard to find a group of guys as an adult that are like this fun to hang out with off the court and also like this into tennis. Like it's awesome, and I feel so lucky to be a part of it.
Yeah, I mean it's a third place for me. You know, like I know that I don't want to say most listeners, but like people have a sense of like what the third place is, right? And so like this is, I mean, it's definitely like become my third place here. That's like the healthy third place, as like, you know, not a bar, not whatever. It's like people, like somewhere where I meet friends.
I'm gonna add in a bonus question that piggybacks off this one. How do you keep the vibes what they are? Like, I think that there's a lot of thought that's gone into it. Like, tell us kind of the method. We should have been doing a video podcast.
Should we describe what just happened?
I think it's for the viewer to imagine what's happening right now. Yeah. Yeah, it's nonverbal communication is currently happening.
Great question, Zach. Let me see if I can respond to that.
Michael?
I don't know, actually. Like, I think that it's been good to, like, I think that anyone would have, I think once we got to the point where it's like, do we want to invite our significant others over to our tennis courts to grill food and hang out with one another, where it was like, this is not like any other tennis group that I've been a part of, you know? And it's nice to have some sort of like purpose that's, you know, not work or, you know, family related. And so it's been nice to sort of curate those vibes where it's like, let's keep all the people who kind of suck out of here and just have people who are awesome, you know? And I think that we tend to attract those types of people here, which is nice. Yeah.
Since I've moved here, I could name on my hand the number of people who suck in the tennis community. Honestly, maybe I'm too nice, but I just don't. There just aren't very many people where I'm like, man, that guy sucks. It's like a handful, fair. Honestly, for me. Everyone I've met, even if they're on teams that I don't particularly like the captain, I always get along. I haven't had any issues.
Yeah, I think one hand is probably about right for me as well. Yeah. Yeah.
There was a guy who played in Wilmington last year that I thought was a real prick, and I hope to see him. I hope to see him again this year. I'm gonna tag him at the net if I can. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. But that's the only one, right? Like that's, you know, he literal exception that proves the rule.
Yeah. I think that definitely this area is special in terms of like the recreational community. Like I think that you just don't. 3 leagues in like one basic metro area is like crazy. But yeah, I think that it's been really rewarding, I think, to invite people into the group, and then within, you know, a couple of weeks of like talking to people and like getting to know people, just being like, I can't believe how set up I am now as like a person who just moved here. Tastings, all that stuff, like that's very cool, I think, and it is rewarding for me to be, you know, instrumental in that. I think it's cool. You know, a lot of people want to do a lot of really big things in their life, and like I feel like this is something that's very small scale that is influential to a very small group of people that I care about so it's nice. Yeah, I'm very proud of it. It's great, and I think that you guys should be too, because you're like a huge part of this. I mean, you're doing a podcast.
It is
about triangle area tennis.
It was I mostly did this because Zack just kept saying, we should do a podcast. We should totally do a podcast. I'm like, I basically was a challenge. It's like, okay, buddy, I'll fucking do it with you. Are you actually not full of shit? And then
here we are.
He did it. Yeah, and I was basically calling Zack out because he kept saying I want to do a podcast, and I was like, I will sit down and do this with you.
I don't know about y'all, but I find that if you just say like, we should do this, or somebody should do this enough times, either somebody will, or you will be so tired of fucking saying it that you just do it. Yeah. You know, and I feel like with the podcast, that's like a great example. Like, because I mean, Michael, when was the first time that we talked about this?
I don't know what the first time was we talked about it, but I will say that I did like harangue Zack into becoming a runner.
It's true.
And it was like starting in November of last year.
Yeah.
And so there's a 2-mile run for me to meet Zack where we would meet at the Ellerby Creek Trail, and we would do an out and back from where he would meet me. It was about 2 miles. And I would take my headphones off and would start running, and he would just be like, all right, listen, I've been thinking about the podcast. Just like, I've got 2 miles of this, and Zack doesn't run fast. So it was just it was a lot of...
It's barely running.
What do you think about these stuffy Brits who talk about tennis? And I think that we could do so much better than that. It was like literally every time we ran. And so I don't know what the first time is, but I know that every time we went for a 2-mile run, you would talk about it with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm here for the vision, though. I think it's great.
I think.
What do you think the reach on this podcast is?
What's the number of people in the
what's our ceiling?
What's the number of people in the East End chat?
What do you think? What do you think the total number of?
I'm not saying we're gonna be as big as Call Her Daddy, but like we're definitely as good as Pod Save America.
Okay.
And I think that's a reasonable floor for us.
I think
is whatever numbers those guys are doing. That's what we should do.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Zack. I think you lost about 90% of the people that are gonna be listening to this podcast with that Pod Save America joke. Maybe 95%.
Like, we have a strong Durham bias, and everybody knows Durham is left of center.
No one is as online as us. I mean, I feel very comfortable saying that. That's a really good.
That was why I made the Call Her Daddy reference. That was.
I have
that's
no
good.
idea what that is. You guys lost me.
Do you see what I'm saying? So this is a good lead-in for a question that I wanted to ask you actually as the guest, because I brought up.
Okay.
I have your own set of questions. Okay.
I have my own set of questions. I have one for. I think that is uniquely. I have one that's uniquely for Zack in particular. I'm hoping this gets cut out, but I make those little finger gestures every time my wife gets naked. We can edit that out. Just a little raccoon.
That's an elite wife guy move, which is also a trademark of East End Boyz.
But
elite wife
guy.
So
zero context of what's happening, but that's fine.
The question that I wanted to ask you as a terminally online guy, whose timeline I'm synced up with, very nicely. Who do you think are the elite follows on Twitter for tennis content?
Gosh.
The people who are not Twitter aficionados, the sommeliers of social media, would love to know what are the elite, and is it the tennis letter?
Okay, so that was such a great question until you said, is it the tennis letter? Which is the single worst tennis account on the internet. It is. Yes, it's trash. And Michael, I believe recently we talked about the big 3 stan accounts. For those of you who don't know, there are these accounts that are like tennis influencers that basically just are like Nadal wins, and all they do is like hype up Nadal, or they'll like whatever thing Novak Djokovic has done. They'll be like, oh, here here's why Nadal's
is the only
better.
Tennis player to ever win a tournament when it rained on a Monday. And then it didn't rain on a Wednesday, and then he won on a Friday. He's obviously the GOAT.
And it's just terrible stuff like that. And there's so many of them. And it's a little different for each of the big 3. And so like those are horrendous. And the tennis letter is below those because it's just trash, tabloid bullshit content. And I want to mute it, but I'm a weak man, and I'm disappointed in myself every time I see them because that means I didn't mute them. Horrible follow. However, I do follow them. Now, here's somebody who's very, very good. Jose Morgado.
Yes.
Phenomenal follow.
Yes.
I want to come back to him in a second because, Michael, we share a thing that we enjoy about him. And I also want to go to Matt on what he thinks about the onlineness of this conversation because you look overwhelmed. You look confused.
I have no
you look frightened.
idea what has
and like you
happening.
don't know what's going on. So we're going to come back to you. There's one other person that I want to recommend to follow. And this one might be a bit controversial and certainly sometimes goes into big 3 hagiography from time to time because he literally wrote the book on it. Bastian Fashan is a good source of tennis news.
I agree with that.
It's a complicated follow because like he definitely can be a little self-promoty and definitely pushes some stuff out there that is like just like so over the top for the big 3.
I would
Again,
agree
he
with
wrote
that.
the book on it, so he's biased, but like that dude's a good follow.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And he engages with his people too.
If you're not a MAGA guy, Roddick is a good follow.
Roddick's a fantastic follow.
He's a really good follow, but he really loves engaging with like MAGA reply guys.
Murray's a good follow as well. Murray's a very good follow.
His mom is a little problematic, but Murray's a good follow. I would agree with that.
Do you remember when Andy Murray's mom called Feliciano Lopez Deliciano?
I don't remember that.
That was one of the funniest. So it was when Andy Murray was playing Feliciano Lopez, and that just had to be such a weird day in the Murray household.
I see.
Yeah. Where do you get your tennis news from? Are you online? Because we get it from Twitter. What about you?
The East End Boyz chat is generally where I get most of my tennis news because I don't follow it.
So Twitter.
So East End Twitter basically is where I get
curated.
Yeah,
Twitter.
I get curated Twitter. So anything that's on Twitter, I get from you guys in the chat because I'm not actually on Twitter. I think I have a Facebook. I haven't posted in 7 to 10 years. I don't know.
Just long enough for the government work.
Yeah.
You're off the grid.
Yeah, no, I'm very active on LinkedIn along with my cat Noodle, but that's where I'm most at. And again, I don't watch really sports outside of Indiana basketball. Like I don't know. I'm just not interested.
I
Doesn't need to watch it.
I find it interesting because like, there is the aspect of like tennis Twitter where, you do have a lot of the stan accounts, a lot of the people who like, tennis TV, this, that, and the third. But like, Ben Rothenberg broke the Zverev news on Twitter, like when he released his article, because he was actually the journalist who broke that whole story open, the first one, not because there's two, and he broke the first one, and it was like really interesting because like I feel like that story didn't reach critical mass for a really long time, even though Ben Rothenberg has been like talking about it for like almost 2 years now. So there is a lot of info on there. So I'm always just curious to see, how people get their news, because like how did people know that Zverev was like had all that stuff that happened with him?
So a lot of us don't know that because I have like no idea what you're saying. So like a lot of us just don't know what's going on.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I have no idea what you just said the last 2 minutes of this.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's one that.
So
Go ahead.
So are you familiar with Alexander Zverev
as
a player?
Nope.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
Yeah. You don't have to explain
We're going to the basics
fine.
here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's fine. I'm just letting you know that I had no idea. He's
a pro tennis player. He was very good at tennis. He still is. He's never going to win a major. He's tall.
Okay.
He's also like a handsome dude, but he's a real dick. He's a lady hitter, and that's about as big of a no-no as it gets.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's why a lot of people were big mad about season 2 of Breakpoint, because it's like, well, come on, can we get somebody who didn't like do that, please?
Oh yeah, that seems fair.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's plenty of people who don't beat on women if they could follow.
You would hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I didn't know that you just don't follow pro tennis at all.
Nope.
Interesting.
No,
okay.
Literally the only time I know what's going on is in pro tennis is when you guys post something in the chat and I see it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I don't know what's going on.
I can't believe that I watch more Swing Vision than you watch ATP tennis and WTA tennis. Speaking of, this podcast is not brought to you by Swing Vision, but I hope that one day it will be. It's a fantastic app, and I use it regularly. And they're notifying me that I need to pay for my subscription for another year, and I sure would like it if they were a sponsor, because it's such an excellent product. And we were advertising for them here, and it was free. Was that a good read?
That's good. So, guys, we are going on 90 minutes. That's a long podcast.
I think we got time for one more question.
Yeah,
and then
I think we're going to have to wrap it up here. Like, that's a long podcast.
Yeah, I still have work to do.
Yeah.
A lot to say. All right. Matt, what's the last question you got for Mikey before you get out of here?
Let's see, of our choice. I like that last one. Is there anything you would change about the rules?
Yes.
Okay.
I saw this. I can't take credit for this. I actually saw it on Twitter, but I really love it, which is that I think that in the case of recreational, it would apply to third set tiebreaks, but in ATP, it would apply to deciding set tiebreaks. Deciding set tiebreaks have to be won by 2 points. Or 3 points, not 2 points.
Oh, okay.
So you would have to win 15-12, not 14-12. You would have to win 10-7.
Oh my God.
Not 10-8. So you would have to
That's
win by
amazing.
You would have to win by 3
Wow.
instead of 2.
That's such a good rule change.
Yeah, because I mean,
That's almost as good as poaching on serves in doubles.
I mean, like realistically, like it's hard to like break and then hold and then you have to break again on top of that, or like hold. I think that's a good rule change. I like that. Someone else proposed that on Twitter that I saw. I thought it was really awesome. I love that rule. I saw that they're now doing the rule changes next year. They're debuting this year. Are that any point that has less than 3 shots, the new shot clock is 15 seconds for serve, or something like that. So if it was just like serve, return, winner, 15 seconds now instead of 40.
I would have thought for sure you were going to go with that if you toss the ball, you have to hit it or it counts as a... Yeah, because that's one of the... What do you mean it's a stupid rule? If it leaves your hand, you should have to hit your serve.
That's a dumb rule.
Why is that a dumb rule?
I mean,
it increases the flow, you know? It adds another variable into the mix.
Yeah.
Makes it no do-overs in tennis.
I mean, I'd say this is a person who has maybe 2 errant tosses a month. Yeah. I think that's a dumb rule, and I don't think that's good for the game at all. I think that's bad for the game, actually.
Oh, come on, man! You think the like flailing at a bad toss like that adds a fun?
Listen, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend
you're not feeling it. You're not feeling it. Okay,
I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I played in a doubles match the other week where it was 3 guys who were bad tossers, and it was just like I would rather shower with a bear than like do that again. But I do think that rule is very bad for the game, personally.
Why?
I mean, people are just bad at tossing, I guess, and like no one wants to practice that.
Well,
I feel like that's part of what makes it fun.
That's your problem.
Man.
Like, get better at it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, isn't that the goal?
Well, if they have to hit it, then they're going to get better. They're going to lose points, and then they suck at tennis. I don't know. Just get a good toss.
How long would it take Steph Curry to master the perfect toss in tennis?
2 weeks.
I think that's generous. I would love to talk to you about this more offline, Zach. I know that we're like running low on time here, but I would like to explain why I think that's dumb to you a little bit more.
Let the people know. The people deserve to know.
No, I think that, like, do you think that improves the flow of the game?
No, I just think it's a fun rule
Yeah,
change.
I would agree with Zach.
Yes, I do.
I think it would be fun to watch people have
Yeah,
to flail
it will improve the pace of things. Yeah, like there will be no extra stoppages. Like they'll toss it, they'll hit it. They won't toss it and catch it. I think it's great. Simple. It's kind of shocking to me that they haven't changed it already.
I think that
what we can agree on though is that the tiebreaker thing is awesome because that's more tennis. And who doesn't want more tennis?
I think I'd be not okay with that change, but would be okay with like tossing and then like not hitting it. That doesn't stop the shot clock in ATP tennis because it does, and like I can see how that would be abused. I think that like if you're down to like 5 seconds and you have an errant toss, you should have to be like still be able to like you should still have to rush it. But I don't think that you should be forced to hit the ball that you toss.
Wow, the debate continues.
I think it's poppycock.
And I think
I
that
don't think
was
we're
the
gonna
end.
solve it here. I don't think this is gonna get solved here,
folks. This has been another edition of the Triangle Tennis Podcast.